Previously on Stompbox Breakdown.
The next video will probably be something either brand new or like completely ancient. Oh yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. First guitar you heard in there, I used a whole lot of effect, but I also went back and forth on my playing dynamics. Then I used the ancient echoes to give that heavier guitar some room to just exist in. Then there was some all around the neck noodling with some pretty thick reverberations, and I'm going to play the tail end of that because I want you to hear the decay of this pedal. The Ancient Echoes by Wonderful Audio Technology uses delay and reverb, but don't think of it as a combination delay reverb pedal like the Keeley Caverns or the Boss RV3. There's delay, there's reverb, there's even a little chorus in here, but those are just the ingredients. And speaking of ingredients, these recipes are full of high quality... No, I'm just kidding. Get that out of here. We're here to talk about guitar pedals. As usual, let's start from an unaffected signal and then layer things in one by one. So we'll start with the level knob, which is our overall effect mix. We can definitely hear the effect of a space being created. That diffused tail at the end there, as opposed to just a straight up copy, is the reverb emulating a three-dimensional space. And that little gap before it kicks in there, that's the pre-delay. That helps us keep the reverb from sitting right on top of our notes, gives it a little extra breathing room, and we can extend that with the echo knob. Up next, the resonance knob is essentially the feedback for our reverb. It keeps those reverberations reverberating. And alright, so I've been playing a whole lot of Baldur's Gate 3 lately. Like, a ridiculous amount. Alright, a borderline embarrassing amount of Baldur's Gate 3. But as I go through my 4th playthrough and get to know this pedal, I can't help but think about how I might set these knobs to try to emulate or at least align with the spaces in the game. Are we in a semi-open area with some dirt and vegetation around? Or are we deep underground, surrounded by cold, flat rock, where sound just goes on forever? If you're keeping track at home, we've got the pre-delay, the reverb, and the resonance within that virtual reverb chamber to help keep everything sustained a while. That gets us to my favorite part, and there's a reason Reflections gets the big knob. This is the feedback for the delay portion of the pedal, and between the delay and the pre-delay, we actually get something that almost sounds like a multi-tap going on. But the biggest thing that I think you'll notice here is just how much darker and lo-fi and haunting that wash becomes. This is a long clip, but I think it shows the effect of this knob really well. That is some ancient echoing right there. And feathering that big knob right to the edge is fun. You can actually use an expression pedal in the back here to do that in real time. Or if you just want some brief moments of self-oscillation, that's what the summon button gets us. Two more features, actually three. There's a dampen knob right here, and this is a filter to keep some of those higher frequencies from ringing. So if you want less clean and shiny and more murky and lachrymose, this can help set the tone. Then there's this modulation section right down here, which adds a little bit of movement to things. People often use liquid terms to describe chorus, and yeah, this makes me think about streams and dripping water, and of course, waterfalls. One more knob, it's actually hidden away inside here. This is an overall volume knob. This pedal has an effect when engaged, and depending on your style and setup, it might register as a volume drop or a boost. If that's the case and you don't want it that way, simply adjust that knob to a good unity volume. And as long as we're in here, check out that little PT2399 chip. The more we bring up the reflections knob, the more we hear the effect of that chip, which is what turns those reverberations darker and darker with each iteration. So that's the delay, and if we flip the board over, we can see the Accutronics Reverb module. Like the PT2399, it's a self-contained digital unit, meaning it can be integrated into an otherwise analog board without the need for the designer to go full-on DSP. And if you're a fan of Caroline, like I am, you may have noticed some similarities between the Ancient Echoes and another one of my favorite delay reverb combinations, the Kilobyte into the Meteor. Yeah, I forgot to mention these each have their own runaway feedback option as well. Inside we'll find the same time-shifting bits. There's a PT2399 in the Kilobyte and the BTDR3H in the Meteor. And before someone takes this the wrong way and says, oh my god, they're ripping off Philippe, I'll point out that on an analog style board, a dedicated reverb module like this is basically how it's done. And it's not a cheap part either. Look at that. As for the delay, Bucket Brigade tends to have its own sound, whereas PT-based delay tends to deteriorate differently. And when you push them, you get those howling overtones, and yeah, I don't think this would work any other way. Of course, for this video, I'm going really hard on the level and really pushing the reflections, but I hope that the opening jam there showed you that this is not just a cave simulator. It can sound like a spring tank, a dark plate reverb, anything we can describe within these knobs. And this lands me in an all too familiar predicament because my board's been pretty consistent for a while now, thanks largely to this Eventide H9, which keeps me from having to stick a whole nother pedal on there just because one song has that weird tremolo part. And as much as it's a wizard of all things time and space, it can't do this. And I like this. So now I gotta go and rearrange my board to make room for this. What a problem to have. Anyway, I hope you're having a good one. Thanks to Ralph at Wonderful Audio Technology for answering a few of my technical questions, and just, you know what, thanks to everyone in the pedal community for being such amazing people. You make it fun time and time again. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got some mind flayers to battle and some dual lock to apply. I'll catch you on the next one.